Yeah, I know the white would have been, but that was the only one that was clean.
Hey guys.
Hey, how you doing, Mike? Man.
Scott,
Thanks.
Ito, Robert.
Michael.
So we're here with the group from Itron, and Itron is one of our sponsors here at Smart Grid Security East. First of all, we want to thank you very much for sponsoring the event. Without your sponsorship, an event of this stature would not be possible. I wanted to ask you some questions if I could. Do you mind?
Not a problem.
No?
Not a problem.
You're obviously very involved in the whole smart grid security ecosystem, and I've been working quite a bit in the AMI security area, and what I want to know is, despite any lack of any firm requirement for security for AMI, Itron has invested and continues to invest what many would consider an enormous amount of money on security. Why does Itron take security so seriously?
In fact, I'll take that, if you don't mind. It's our customers. I mean, if you go right back to the way, even when we started with OpenWay, security was a requirement from our customers. And that's what we started with. And then the industry kind of picked up, and the NIST collaboration and everything else happened. So we took that, and as a leadership strategy, just followed with it. So I mean, we started with our customers. They were the ones that mandated it, and then we jumped on and provided it.
So this is customer demand and customer service.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, that's great. That's great. I mean, so besides that, do you feel any sort of, sort of like commitment to making sure that infrastructure is protected as well, or is it solely customers?
No, I mean, it has a component of it that about protection, critical infrastructure protection. The thing is that in this day and age, okay, in any industry, security is a prime requirement, okay? But especially in this particular industry, or in any industry that does infrastructure, okay? Water, gas, electricity, it's de rigueur in this day and age. It's got to be done. The threats are out there. We know it. I mean, the customers know it. It's something that we are obliged to do. As part and parcel of our business practices.
Well, I asked that question specifically because I know I've seen your organization go above and beyond what most customers are even asking for in terms of security. Some organizations will accept anything you say, but I know from having worked with you in the various groups that you're taking this very seriously. So I really want to commend you for that. That's great.
Thank you.
So, members of the Itron security team are indeed very active in various security standard development groups. I know because, like I said, I'm involved in the same groups. Describe some of your activities in these groups.
The group that I've been primarily active with has been the ANSI C1218 and C1222 groups, and we're trying to move toward ratification of the standard. There have been some stumbling blocks, considerations around security modes and so forth, but because it's been handled in a collaborative manner, we're able to solve the problem for everyone, not just for one vendor at a time. So, Ed Baraset's another active member of that.
Great.
I mean, I'm involved in some of the CSWG subgroups, like the design principles, embedded security, key management.
Sure.
And also, while I used to be more involved in the OpenSG and some of its groups, as well as the AMI-Sec group that produced the profile, the 2.0, I've actually kind of moved away from that particular one a little bit, and then moved more towards the Zigbee Alliance as a part of my new responsibilities that I've taken on. And part of it is understanding the smart energy profile, what we can do to help secure it, how we can, how it's impacting us from our product perspective, but also what we can contribute back to that particular organization.
So that's fantastic. Bob, you mentioned a really important point. You actually mentioned a competitor, Ed Baraset from Elster. And I think it's very important for members of the community to realize that Itron has formed quite a few partnerships in the industry to deal with security. Partnerships with organizations such as Cisco, as well as partnerships with competitors.
Yes.
And they call this the spirit of co-opetition, which I think is a good term. Can you guys explain why is that important, and why do you believe that that's so critical in the world of security?
It's critical in the world of security as well as just in basic operations when you're dealing with retail power distribution. It's a very thin group of competitors here. We're all large, and there aren't many of us. So from a headcount perspective, it's sort of a small ecosystem. So it's incumbent upon the different manufacturers to be able to work together because the customers are driving the need. The customers are saying, we're not comfortable sticking with one monolithic solution and one monolithic supplier. We need supplier diversity. It's part of our policy. So what drives that is, or what that drives is the need to be able to work seamlessly, like Lego blocks, with competitors' meters or competitors' networks.
Yeah, the spin I put on that is, these are very complex systems. In fact, the complexity still kind of escapes me. I don't fully appreciate the entire complexity of the systems. So somebody's meter might be working with somebody else's infrastructure, who's working with somebody else's back-end systems, who's working, the entire thing has to come together because each utility has a completely different business proposition, a completely different infrastructure requirement. So open way stands for open.
Right.
Open standards, open partnering, and that's just how we built it.
Well, great. So I have another question. So let's take us overseas for a minute. The smart grid world is well aware of Itron's work with the European community, and it's sure to be the next big opportunity for smart grid vendors. Europeans have what many believe to be very stringent security requirements, at least compared to the U.S. How prepared is Itron to meet the security needs of the Europeans?
I think we're actually quite prepared to meet the needs of security of the European customers. We are investing not only here on this side of the Atlantic, we're also doing a lot of investment on the other side of the Atlantic to review our products, to go ahead and apply the same principles that we're doing here in the United States to the products that we're producing in the European Union. The interesting thing about the European Union is that it's also then driving us on some privacy issues. Because for them, if you look at Netherlands considers the meter data to possibly be PII. So that's actually going to be able to feed back into us because while it's not an issue here in the United States, it will be an issue probably in the next 10 years. So I think we're quite well prepared. We have a team over there that we are building out. We have already some members, and we are already making several significant investments in security efforts in our product sets over there as well as what we're doing over here.
The thing I want to add then is we're also seeing kind of a convergence of standards. We talked about like the NIST and the groups we're involved in. I'm involved in the OpenSG security working group, and we're starting to see a lot of the IEC standards come over to the U.S. We're starting to see the European and the Asian countries start to look at the NIST and incorporate some of those guidelines or recommendations. So over time, I can just expect to see a blending of standards across the globe.
Well, that's great to hear. It's great to hear that you're all involved in that. And I have one last question, if I could ask. So as far as I know, with the promotion of Robert Former to the Security Research and Development position within your organization, Itron is the first AMI vendor that I know of that has created a full-time in-house penetration tester, vulnerability assessment person. This is often a task that is outsourced. Why does Itron believe it is so important to create this as a full-time position within your organization?
First, I need to do a clarification. The title is actually Head of Security Research and Testing.
Okay.
Research and Development belongs to another group
Research
completely.
and Testing, yes.
The reason Itron has decided to make the investment in in-house penetration testing is we have made a substantial investment in external third-party penetration testing. And what we've been finding is that our penetration testers, the first few things they find should be caught in quality assurance. And it's part of the maturation process of any security organization. So we came to the conclusion that let's use an internal team to find the simple stuff, the low-hanging fruit, if you will, and then expend the larger money with the external forums, really leveraging their expertise at finding things like Travis can at the chip level and through code reviews and things of that nature, so they can go more in depth and they're not hitting the roadblocks of simplicity, as it were.
Yeah,
Great.
We shouldn't, a third party shouldn't find the obvious stuff that we should have found ourselves.
Sure.
So let's find the stuff ourselves, tighten it up, and then throw it to the wolves, so to speak, and let them chew on it and see what they can get to.
And one advantage I believe that has is when you do hire a third party, if they don't catch some of the things that you caught, you can say, well, maybe this isn't the right third party we working with.
It's somewhat like that.
Somewhat,
it's not
yeah.
quite. I mean, the flip side, another aspect that I think that Robert and Scott haven't really mentioned here is the ability that we take what we learn from this to feed back into our development of our products. Okay, so some of that stuff, it's one thing to learn it from an external organization in the form of a report and a presentation. It's another thing to have an internal group who can then transfer that more effectively to the developers. So it's a feedback loop that we're actually building within the company. Whether it's, the real meat of this, the real value of this will come down the line in the next couple of years, probably, when we start seeing the next generation of our products come out, and that incorporating that information into our development process.
Yeah. So this is once again another investment in something that you hope will,
we're quite sure that
yeah.
he will.
I believe that myself.
So
we're starting to see that in the industry, thankfully.
Yes.
So.
And it affords me the opportunity to have what I consider the coolest job in the world.
That's right.
I get paid good money to break equipment, and Johnny Law doesn't come looking for me.
And lots of toys.
Again,
lots of toys.
Thank you very much for your sponsorship,
Mike,
and thank you very much for your leadership
Thank you.
in the industry.
Thank you very much.
Great.